I think about that every time I go to post something or I write creatively, and it's me just taking on information and knowledge and seeing it and hearing it, and it's like a dumping ground if I'm not careful. But it always asks if I'm legally bound to say whether it's for children or not. And I think adult conversations is never for children, but at the same time they they have used girls and boys at a young age, and I think children, if they're going to be exploiting them for other things, I think their minds are a lot smarter than what even ours are. And I think knowledge and creative writing and skills of tools to learn with are equally important. I mean, I'm pretty sure that when the president comes out, or a elected official, or a they don't they don't watch what they say. They really don't. I mean, there are things that I've heard. I'm like, what the hell? And the word fuck, you're not supposed to say, like, and the other word, cunt. I had a friend that was totally against that word, and I would refrain from saying it because she didn't like it. And then I find in other countries it's just like nothing, breathing air. And words are just that. They're to express something. And have you ever stubbed your toe and said every curse word there was? And if you're thinking, well, God's listening to me and he's going to hear everything I say, well, guess what? He knows that shit hurt, is what I'm thinking. And he's going to forgive you for that. If you don't, you're following the wrong gods. Just saying. Like, we're human beings. We're here on earth. What the hell happens after life? We don't know. But you all want to make us believe some shit show. And I can't do it no more. I just can't. I've kept my mouth shut on this for so long. And I've been quiet and subservient to what the hell it is. And I don't mind that you do. As long as you do not force that shit on other people and me. I mean, blessed be. I don't say that you can't have the faith, but don't utilize it to hurt me or someone else. Don't do that. Because that isn't your God given right. That is something you believed in that gave you a false right to something you think you have a right to, because you don't. You have no right to me, and I have no right to you. That's just how it is. We're individuals for a reason. We have our own thinking, and we should be using that. Blind faith is just that. You could have somebody out here, I mean, I know my parents drilled that into me. Like, if somebody jumped off the bridge, would you follow them? No, that's dumb. Well, then what are you doing? And my mother would tell me, shit splatters. You're going to get shit on you. That's how shit gets on you. And I'm like, you're going to stink. And people are going to know because of who you hang out with and what you want to be, who you want to be perceived as being. And I'm like, well, people are dumb enough to believe I have anything to do with that. Then it ain't too bright. But it's true. You hang out. I mean, I don't know. I've talked to a friend of mine, and he said he walked into a store, or he was in a store, and some other people came in the store, and he spoke to them, and all of them had to leave. And he was an older teen, and he finds that all or none thing, like punishment, in his school. It happened. My granddaughter did that. She's like, I didn't throw any peas. I'm not cleaning up peas. I didn't throw food. He did the same thing. There was a food fight in the cafeteria, and everybody was made to stay behind and clean it up. And he goes, I didn't throw no food. Food is precious. He goes, I ain't throwing food. He goes, and I had to wear it, and I got to go clean up. I'm not cleaning up shit here. I don't know if he said shit. He was in school. It probably didn't, but he didn't do it. And my granddaughter, I remember my granddaughter doing the same thing. And going to school is our first place we go to, other than church, if you went to church. And I can remember, I remember very young holding my mother's hand and her having nylons on and going, I think, into a church, a local, I don't know where it was. I remember the windows. I was just a little girl, and I think she might have been pregnant. I think. I think she was pregnant for my little sister. We're 3 years apart, so I think she might have been pregnant. So I was real little, and that's the only time I really remember my mother walking into a church with me. But she always made sure that we went to church, and she had us go to different churches, like to learn different ways that they had their faith. She said, you need to know what it is in order to say you want it or you don't. She said, you can't just say you don't want it, you don't believe it, because you have to have a reason why. I'm like, 'cause it's all bullshit. And you're either a good, decent human being or you're not. And whether or not you're going to get into a freaking pearly gate someplace paving the way, you should you should want to be a good, decent person. You should in here want that. You should know that up here. And you should have a conscience. And if you don't, you're missing something big, and it's scary to be you. And I'd be afraid to be around that. Because if you don't have and I know there are hard decisions in life, like recently in the polls, bad or worse, which do you vote for? They ain't giving us a whole lot to decide. But it is what it is. And that's for my friend Laura. She was U.S. Air Force. Yeah. I know a lot of people that went in because their family all went in, and it's what you do. You learn what your family teaches you. I am grateful that I had what might have been dysfunctional, but it worked. And I feel like I'm all right. I don't know about the rest of them. I mean, I lived with my brother before he died. He came to stay with me, and I think he was all right, but he still questioned it. He goes, do you think Mom believed in heaven and hell? I said, I think Mom just didn't give a shit at the end. I said, I think she wanted us to believe what we wanted to believe. She was raised Catholic because her father was that, and he was the man of the house, and back then you did what the man's family did. It's just, and when I say things in my writing like patriarchy, I mean, it's not, sometimes it's meant as a slam because I don't want to be dragged kicking and screaming by the hair of my head like a cave woman into a, you'd have a hard time dragging my ass, just saying, you'd have to be a pretty big caveman. And that's another thing. I've talked to women. I've been where women have put weight on so that they're undesirable to men. But in my lifetime, I can tell you they don't give a shit about that. They're just looking for that wet place to get to. They're terrible. And that's an awful thing to be taken advantage of like that. And shame on you as a father, brother, uncle, or a worker. I've had a worker be there for me and stop something from happening, and I'm grateful. Um, I've had another close call, and a little girl walked in, and thank God she did, because had she not walked in, he probably would have done something. And, well, he wasn't, not would have, he was trying to. And I remember a guy that came to work with my dad. He was a young man. I was young. I was probably 12, maybe 13. And we were very protected in that. We were taught, my grandmother, you press up against a boy, you're going to get knocked up, pregnant. You're going to get pregnant. You're going to have a baby in your belly, is what she'd say. Don't press up against a boy. I mean, you didn't have to have all clothed. You were going to get pregnant. If you kissed a boy, you'd get pregnant. That's what we were taught. Like, you didn't, and if you didn't want to have a baby, you didn't do that. So when a boy tried to touch me in any kind of way, I'm like, no. No. And so I was naive. And then that little flutter of the heart where they work it. And I say they worked it because he did. And I ran away with him. I wound up one time being with them. And Never seeing them again afterwards. Never came back, never. But he was there every night, knocking on my window, trying to get in, and yeah. But as soon as he got the gold, he was gone. Shame on him, shame on me. But I learned. Yeah, the one thing that I learned was my parents were right. You give the milk away for free, and they will never buy the farm. So I felt very tainted, very much so. And what I didn't believe in God all came zooming back in, and now I'm soiled. I'm a soiled girl. I'm worthless. And I got so mentally ill over it. I did. I couldn't wash my body enough. I had a miscarriage 5 weeks later. I lied to my mother and said I hadn't done anything, and then she found out I did. It was awful. That's my story. And so things come from my life and my life story, not so much from what's happening around me, but it is that sprinkled with it. In my creative writing, sometimes I get good and angry in my writing. Sometimes I'm very passionate. Sometimes I'm funny and quirky, and sometimes I just want to save the day. Mostly I just want to save the day and have a good time. Life is meant to be lived. It's going to be hard knocks. But during those hard knocks, you're going to laugh. And you're going to have love. And you're going to have hurt. And you're going to have grief. And that grief sucks ass, just saying. This went into a long, oh well, you either listen or you don't. Because I'm doing this for me. I play it back later and I listen. And I'm like, God, I shouldn't have posted that. Now people know this or that. I really don't give a shit. I don't. You have your own demons and I have mine. And they're not all demons. But I've just watched things that where women are in high power are being, I know they're being used, definitely being used, to try and sway the women to join this cult leadership of blind faith and not using their brains to see the long run of the picture and their children that are going to, if they have little girls, and what's going to happen. Going backwards in time, unraveling all that we have done to get to, I mean, when Roe versus Wade happened in 2022, I just was sick. And there's a lot of things in history I don't know, but there's a lot of things that I'm learning every day. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want women to have to do what, it's bad enough that men are taken and taught terrible things to do to women because of things that happen. Men have very sexual whatever, and women are their not predecessor, what's the word? Where they want that, and they don't want to be told they can't have it, and they can't control themselves. And women are walking around and all you can see is their eyes, and sometimes eyes can tell you everything. You don't have to see everything to know that the eyes are talking to you when they do talk. And my mother used to say that when I would turn around, stop rolling your eyes. I'm telling you, that's all it took, man. And I'd straighten those eyes right out. I wasn't rolling them anymore. And when she died, my eye roll came back. I'm like, I said, sorry, Mom. And I wasn't sorry. I mean, it was something she stifled in me and took from me, and I allowed her to. I had a right to do that, but it was disrespectful in her eyes for me to do that, so I didn't do it. And disrespect, it isn't disrespectful to get away from a cult, an indoctrination, somebody that doesn't let you be who you are, authentic, your authentic self. We're in a time era where we should be able to love every individual for who they are. And I'm telling you, They ain't gonna like this part either. But I, if you're gonna believe in eternal damnation, people that are in that for life, doing life, or have been killed, in death row, they've already paid the price. Why would you want to punish them and tell them they're in the afterlife, they're going to hell and fire and brimstone, and put fear of what is in the afterlife? There should be no fear of the afterlife. Death is going to come to us all, for us all. There should be no fear in it. It should be peaceful, tranquil even. And it should not be at the hands of somebody else. That's not how it should happen. We know that. We know that. But if you think on death, I had to rethink my game plan with my son's death. That I was given 33 years to love him, and him love me and his sister. 33 years is a lot better than have the fetus in the womb never breathe air. So it's how you look at it. It's a perception. I used to think that God was bowling when thunderstorms came. And then I could see the destruction of a tornado, and I'm like, what the hell is that? God wouldn't do that. Uproot people, kill cows, and tear up their houses. That ain't a God thing. That's an earth thing. And I tried to believe in God. I have a belief that the sun will come up tomorrow, and that's a belief. The moon and the stars, they show. They circle the earth, or we circle it, however it goes, and we get to see a full moon, what is it, every 30 days? And it's a beautiful thing, I think. And it's something tangible that I can believe in. Does that make me a witch? Some people might think so, because I need that. I need to see it. Because in death, you don't get to see death. You feel it. So why would you want to think that how they died is going to determine where the hell they go in afterlife? Fuck you for that, if that's what you're going to tell me, because you need to keep it scrolling, because I'm not that person. Yeah, I can remember that. I'm telling you, people that do heinous crimes, for me to hate them in the afterlife is foolish in my part. If anything's going to be healed, it's going to be in their death. They're not going to take whatever happened here, there. And same with the person they might have trespassed against. Here. They didn't die in vain. In the same way that they have the death penalty. Taking someone's life because they took a life doesn't make it anything. Two wrongs do not make a right. They just don't. It doesn't add up in me. That's me. You might think it differently. I had to forgive the shooter of my son because it was my son. You'll never forgive who shot your child or harmed your child or killed your child, and I know that. And that's your thing to live with. And I'm telling you, I was madder than a hornet at my son. But he couldn't take it any longer. He had so much hurt that he wanted to be out of that pain. He didn't want to feel it anymore. And he suffered with depression. That morning, I went to my mother. Here we are, both in wheelchair walkers. They're walkers with wheels and seats on them, and we're sitting on them. I had just had a knee replacement. My daughter just had hernia surgery. And my mother's there, and I'm telling her, I said, I gave him this depression. I gave it to him. And I'm crying. And my mother grabs my face with both her hands. And she said, if you gave it to him, who do you think gave it to you? I've only seen my mother so depressed that she couldn't function once in my life. And she fell to her knees under a clothesline, is what I remember. And life was really upside down. I can't remember if I had run, I think I had run away. And I was back. And think I miscarried. And we went through that. And my brother had come home. He was burnt really bad. He was only 5, almost 6. And my father was having an affair. And life was just hell for her. And I remember my grandmother coming, and I remember my mother sleeping, just sleeping. My grandmother would come, and she would go home. She had a life, too. She had a new family. She remarried and had 3 more children. So, we do, and then we lived 20 miles away. And she came. I called her, and she came. And I can remember my grandmother and I had words before she passed away. I said, I love you, but I don't like what you had me do today. And she had me do something that I found to be wrong. And it was totally against me and who I was and who I was raised to be. And I said, it unraveled everything I believed in you, Grandma. I said, this made you not be who I thought you were. And I had to live with that because she died many years later and I didn't talk to her. I didn't talk to her for a lot of years. And it hurt. It hurt really bad. But I couldn't get past it because it was something she asked me to do that she should have done herself, is what I felt. And there's that word should. But she didn't. She had been doing something else. And I did it. I believe I had children. I was an adult. I'm pretty sure. And I had a right to say no. And I didn't. So who was I really mad at? You got it. Looking back at me. I was mad at me for not standing my ground. And my grandmother taught me a very good life lesson that day. And I hope she knows it. I believe she does. Because I remember recording her and getting all the stories. And I don't know where that recording ever went. It disappeared. The recorder and everything disappeared. I guess we weren't supposed to. It's the same way with my son's phone. My daughter had it and then it was gone. Nobody knew what happened to it. And she thinks my mother got it. I don't, because she thinks it was destroying my daughter. And I think she may have taken it, so I don't know. Oh my God, 23 minutes. This is never going to get posted. I know it's not. This is a rainy day. It wasn't supposed to be tearful. And it's not because I'm sad. It's just because tears come. They are cleansing. It's not like a sob. It's just a cleansing, tearful. It's like a rainy day comes. It happens. I don't know if you do that, but I do. And I don't feel bad for it at all. It's just part of who I am. I used to say I wish I didn't have that. And then I realized to change that, I wouldn't be me. And I love who I am. I'm a good person. And I know that. And there ain't nobody going to be able to shake that from me. And you should know that about yourself. You should believe that about yourself. And if you haven't figured it out, figure it out. Because you're probably a good person too. Sometimes we make poor decisions. Sometimes we don't know any better and we learn better. And we do better. That's just how life works. It's always teaching us. And sometimes it teaches us in a roundabout way. Like the story I just told you. We learn about ourselves through somebody else. It's not about them. It's about us. And it's not a selfish thing about us. It's just that through their lives, we were taught who we were and who we're not. That's the most important, is who we're not. Remember that. If I give you anything today, remember who you're not. Just saying.